Hey guys, Holly Dunaway here, former boxing world champion. Guess what? I'm in a book. It's called Dream Reachers 2, and it was written by Betty Dravis and Chase. And I want to read a little bit of my section. I've got maybe like 16 pages worth of an interview in here. And the whole book is a book of interviews with professional athletes, celebrities. I just happen to make it in here. All right, I'm not going to read it all to you, but just some of the more exciting stuff. And I'll show you some of the pictures. So this is the very first picture. I'm at Richard Still's boxing gym in Las Vegas. All my world title belts hanging in the back. So, should we read a stroke my ego question first? All right, this is Chase Vaughn, one of the authors, asking the questions in this interview. Holly, in all the fights I've seen you in, I'm not surprised to learn you've been world champion 4 times, and I really expect to see you adding more belts in the near future. People that haven't watched some of your fights will have to check them out to see why I see you're natural. What most impressed me was your ring generalship. No matter what someone is trying to bring at you, you don't ever seem to lose your composure. I was shocked viewing 2 of your fights when they awarded the victory to someone else. Personally, I thought it was a robbery, but we'll get to that later. First, even though it seemed like you were born with gloves on, can you tell our readers what the younger years were like? Were you always athletic? Unlike people who dream of being champion, you sort of stumbled into boxing. Can you share the story of how it happened? All right, now I'm going to be playing me. Holly Dunaway. Thank you. I was always athletic, and I had an older brother in the U.S. Army I had the pleasure of fighting with throughout my childhood. I was raised on a farm in Arkansas, and I didn't discover boxing until I was 18. With no amateur boxing career, I guess you could say my first year of fighting was on-the-job training. So the next page is a photo of, this is me right here at a weigh-in, and this is Chantel Gorgeous Babe Cordova. Hot Stuff versus Gorgeous Babe. Kind of silly, but we could actually both fight. She was an amateur champion, and the first time we fought, she was like 7-0, and I won. And then we rematched like some years later, and she ended up beating me. So I hung the gloves up. I was so hurt. Okay, back to the book. Here we go. So let's go here. Chase Vaughn. One of my more recent interviews was with the lovely Joan Baker, a recognized queen in her voiceover work. I mentioned you in that interview because one of her web pages she had hot stuff, and I thought it was a strange coincidence after learning you were down for this interview. But let's face it, you are hot. Smile. You are also going to be appearing in a men's magazine because you're a sought-after model. Can you share a bit more about that with our readers? What are your thoughts in regards to that perhaps helping interest in women's boxing? My response, I posed for Penthouse magazine in Las Vegas at this time, several months ago, which will be released soon. I suppose I followed the footsteps of other successful female boxers such as Mia St. John and Regina Halmich, who posed for Playboy. After I saw that it helped more than hurt their careers, I believed it would help bring more attention to fans from the sport, who are usually women, aren't usually women boxing fans, sorry. Posing nude is not for everyone. I'm very proud of the body that I work hard for, and I'm naturally confident. My photos are nude but tasteful. I wouldn't do anything to embarrass my sport or myself or the sport. Chase Vaughn says, I can't imagine what you do to prepare for championship bouts. And that's something your trainers or yourself might not want the competition to know anyway, but what are some of the things you do to stay fit when you aren't training for a fight? And what are some of your favorite meals? Here is my response. I stay in the gym year round. I just pick up the intensity about 6 weeks out from a bout. I fight in 4 different weight divisions, so my diet varies from fight to fight. When I fight at lower weights, I eat plenty of whole grains, cut out the sweets and fried foods. When I'm fighting at a heavier weight, I eat everything in sight to get up to 112 pounds. My favorite foods are chicken, chocolate, and chicken. I'm a vegetarian now. I don't even eat chicken. I guess some things have changed since this book was written about me, but all right, back to the book. My trick is to not put on weight is to cook and eat at home instead of going out to eat at a restaurant. My favorite pre-fight meal, it's fettuccine. All right. Chase Vaughn. I'm Black, Blackfoot, and Cherokee Indian, and rumored by family lore to have perhaps some of French in me as well. You list yourself as Native American. Can I ask which tribe or tribes? And I responded, I am Cherokee Indian. I'm registered, got my Indian row number 5 years ago. What would you say if you were standing before a microphone that could be heard by every child on this planet? Oh, let me see if my response is any good before I... And regardless of what language they spoke, they would understand you. What positive advice would you give the children if that were possible? There we go. Do you guys want to see pictures? You can't see all the pictures. You got to buy the book. Come on. All right, here's my advice to kids. If you have a dream, always feel as though you can achieve that dream. Some dreams and goals are hard to achieve, but never impossible. You just have to be creative and find ways around the obstacles life throws in your way. Younger me was pretty bright. All right. Let's see. Here we go. Here's the question everybody asks. Are you going to get into MMA? Now I have a tough one. This is Chase Vaughn asking, because I always try and ask at least one of those during my interviews. Mixed martial arts is becoming incredibly popular, and in truth, I enjoy both boxing and MMA. But what I'm wondering is right now, it's like they're treating baseball and football or basketball to some degree. If you want to watch boxing, you go to a boxing match and tune into them. If you want to watch MMA, you tune into that when possible to attend an event. Various people from boxing and other sports are trying their wares in MMA as well. But 1, do you think you'll ever get into mixed martial arts? And 2, do you see a day where perhaps in the same venue, they will have boxing and MMA combined in one event? You know, first perhaps a few boxing matches, then MMA or vice versa. Here's my response. I will not ever cross into MMA. I have respect for the sport, but simply not for me for many reasons. I'd rather not be elbowed or kneed in the head, and MMA gloves are so small. They offer hardly any hand protection to the bones in your face. I love to see a good fight, but when I see someone's ear cauliflowered up in an MMA fight, I realize it's permanent. I've seen blood pour from the ears in nearly every brutal MMA fight I've watched, at least once on the show. Most of my fights are 10 rounds, and at the end, I barely have a mark on me. Even fighting world champions. I contribute that to my impeccable defense. Sorry, my ego was hanging out there. All right, boxing is an art, and I can take a punch if need be, but if I were getting physically damaged every fight, I wouldn't have as much longevity in the sport. At this time, I had fought 7 years as a professional and don't plan to retire soon. I've seen many MMA shows where boxing and MMA are combined, and I think it's a great idea to bring the two audiences together. All right, guys. Are you enjoying this? I hope you're enjoying this. Oh, this is cool. This is my hand. I did some boxing commentating with Showtime commentator Al Bernstein for the boxing channel. That was kind of neat. So here we go. Chase Vaughn asks, As anyone can tell, you're very attractive, but you are also very articulate. What's the likelihood we will see you not only fighting in the future, but also being a commentator as well? Because you certainly know far more than most, and when it comes to our sweet science. Here's my response. Thank you. I'm a boxing commentator in my home living room when I'm watching fights on TV. Seriously, though, I would love to do it professionally. My dear friend Al Bernstein, who's a well-known Showtime boxing commentator, even suggested I would make a great commentator after we did a radio show together in New Mexico. Chase Vaughn. I know I told you after watching your fight and reading up on you, particularly your webpage, where you have what looks like a diary, a movie by living legend Clint Eastwood, starring not only himself and another acting legend, Morgan Freeman, but also beautiful Hilary Swank came to mind. $1 Million Baby. The ending was really sad, but it was a great movie. But will you ever write down your life story in book form? Because I think it would make an excellent movie and not only inspire, but it would be a true life story. My response is, you read my mind. I've already begun writing my life story, and it's way more interesting than the hit movie $1 Million Baby, which is a great movie that I truly appreciate. I plan to write for a couple more years, and will reveal the great, the bad, and the ugly. I quit writing the book, by the way. But I'm doing social media every day and launched hollydunaway.com so I can fill you guys in on the whole story that way. Okay. Let's see. Chase Vaughn says, one thing I've learned from Willard Barth, a friend of mine, is that we all have to stretch our comfort zones at times, or we stay where we are pretty much. Just from getting to know you, I know you're one of the best things about you is you have a truly wonderful personality. And even numerous commentators have said your manner in which you carry yourself is a huge plus for women's boxing. But do you ever plan to see yourself acting? Because you've not only been blessed with great hand speed and power, but great looks as well. And though you may not see it in the future, you have spent a lot of time in front of huge crowds of people because you're a natural athletic ability. You would probably be able to do all of your own stunts. My response was, I have considered acting, even studied it a bit, but boxing and modeling has kept me busy. I never pursued it. It is something I would be comfortable doing, and I'll keep an open mind in the future. I would definitely do my own stunts. So fast forward a couple years, I about got killed doing my own stunts off of a trampoline, and my acting skills, they're on point, but I can't remember a script. That's why I just have to talk freely. All right, guys. We're going to read one more. And then we're calling it quits. Okay. Let's do this one. Chase Vaughn says, 2 of your fights that I watched, as I've told you, I was totally shocked when they gave the win to the other person. I know we've also discussed, and you told me how much it hurt when you trained so hard, give up so much, and do your best and get robbed. You also told me it was far more than these 2 that were given to people who really didn't win. I know it happens in men's boxing as well, but I think it's rarer. Is that a problem you see with women's boxing in general? Because when I look at your record, 22 wins and 8 losses, 1 draw, 10 wins by KO. Impressive as it is, I still think just from those 2 fights alone, you should have more in the win column. Okay, we'll get to my response. I see as many robberies in men's boxing as I do in women's boxing. There are more televised men's fights, so that may make it a little bit harder to rob a fighter of a win when there's such a large audience. I don't know if I still feel that way. My professional record, I've won 4 world titles. However, if boxing were judged fairly, in my opinion, and there were no bad decisions, I would be a 9-time world champion with a record of 28-3, 10 KOs. I just have to focus on the positive and let all that negativity go. It will turn me into a negative person, incapable of accomplishing anything more in boxing if I keep that attitude. Thanks for letting me read a little bit. You guys run out and get this book. There's a lot more to it, and there's more photos, and I really enjoyed doing this book. I'll see you guys tomorrow on YouTube or on hollydunaway.com. Thanks for reading with me today. I forgot to tell you guys, you can purchase this book off of Amazon, and I've got a link on hollydunaway.com on my shop in the book section. So go find it and support this book. Dream Reachers 2 by Betty Dravis and Chase. And you'll get to see not only my interview, but plenty of meaningful interviews. Some juicy stuff in here that I didn't read. All right, bye guys. See you tomorrow.